Hello, this is the lesson number 21 and it's going to be held in English. Today we are going to see the levels of translating. Newmark states that translating a source text into a target text operates in four levels: textual level, preferential level, cohesive level, and naturalness level. The fourth level of translating. The textual level involves the source text. At this level, you decode or render the syntactic structures of the source text into their corresponding structures in the target text. Sometimes you have to change these structures into something quite different in order to achieve the target language naturalness. The referential level. It operates on the content of the EST. It deals with the message or the meaning of the text. On this level, you decode the meaning of the source text and build the conceptual representation. This is where you simplify polysemous words and phrases. On it, you decode idioms and figurative expressions. This is where you figure out the pragmatic function of the source text. Once you have decoded the ST or source text, as I have mentioned, you decode it into an appropriate target language expressions. The referential level and the textual level are closely related because the language of the source text conveys a message, and you use a language to encode the message into the target text. The cohesive level. The cohesive level links the textual and the referential levels. It deals with the form and the meaning of the text. Newmark identifies it as the mood of the text, while others call it the tone of the text. In fact, tone is the author's attitude towards the text, and the mood is the reader's attitude towards the text. Tone words can be negative, neutral, and positive. Tone is implied the author's attitude towards the subject. You can recognize the tone attitude by the language word choices the author uses. His language will reveal his perspective, opinion, that is, whether it is positive, negative about the subject. Tone must be inferred through the use of descriptive words. Mood. Mood is the overall feelings or emotions that are created in the reader. Authors move their readers' moods through their choice of words and level of detail. The power of the pen can move mountains. Cohesive devices are typically single words of phrases that basically make the text hang together. By analogy, they are much like the seams in our clothing which keep items like jackets and trousers together. Three elementary examples of cohesive devices are word repetition, synonyms, and pronouns. Cohesion is a network of lexical, grammatical, and other relations which link various parts of a text. These relations or ties organize and, to some extent, create a text, for instance, by requiring the reader to interpret words and expressions by reference to other words and expressions in the surrounding sentences and paragraphs. Cohesion is a surface relation, and it connects together the actual words and expressions that we can see or hear. Halliday and Hassan identify 5 main cohesive devices in English: reference, substitution, alexis, conjunction, and lexical cohesion. At the structural shock level, you investigate how various connectors, such as conjunctions, enumerations, repetitions, or reiterations, definite articles, and determiners, general category labels, synonyms, punctuation marks, simple or complex conjunctions, link sentences, and structure the text, what Newmark called its train of thought, which is basically its underlying information structure. You establish a tone by finding the so-called value-laden and value-free passages, such as subjective and objective verbs, euphemisms, and other framing devices. Framing being the strategy of linguistically presenting something in the perspective of one's own values and worldview in a way promoting this. An author will frequently use motion language that is violent to affect our opinions. These words reflect the bias of the author and can express positive or negative opinions or biases towards the subject. Sometimes these words are referred to as loaded words. All of these will have to be somehow transferred into the target text so you achieve maximal equivalence at this level too. Equivalence, linguistic equivalence plus cultural equivalence, it means maximal equivalence. This is Catford's taxonomy. The level of naturalness. This level is target test oriented, focusing exclusively on the construction of the target test. It is important that the target text makes sense. The target text reads naturally like any other text composed in the target language. This is apparently more difficult than one might expect because one tends to reproduce a lot of grammatical structures, phrases, and wordings which are natural in the source language, but while possible in the target language, which do not feel natural as such in the target language. What makes things more complicated is that naturalness often depends on the situation, such that something might seem natural in one context but unnatural in another. The best, perhaps only way to ensure naturalness is to read through your translation and spot unnaturally sounding parts and change them into something that sounds more natural. This is something that most people skip when they do translations. And here you can see the reference used for this presentation. This is all for today's video and I hope to see you in the next. Don't forget to hit a like and subscribe. We'll see you later.